Hello and welcome back to another Indiepocalypse radio after probably like a month or so. I was like, oh, I got two conventions and then time in between and I was like, should I organize it? I'm like, I don't feel like organizing more shows. There's too many shows to organize because I had to then go to another one. But I'm done. I am full up. I have finished. I say I'm done as if I'm not going doing something next Saturday and then the Saturday afterwards. But what's going on with this show? How do I intro it? This show is, of course, Indiepocalypse Radio, your uh, Indiepocalypse related. Mostly just like it's somewhere between. What is the friggin' tagline to this? I had a rhythm going for like a good couple months. Hey, it's somewhere between a post-con hangout and a interview show. More on the former, less on the latter, because you don't really get a lot of hard-hitting questions. You get me asking people the crucial, non-hard-hitting questions, the soft-hitting questions. I'm Andrew. I'm the host of the aforementioned show, presumably because I'm talking so much, and I was the first person you heard talking. And we are here with a slew of guests from primarily Indiepocalypse, or Indiepocalypse this time. Indiepocalypse contributors, I should say. Indiepocalypse, of course, being the long-running alternative game anthology that comes out every month, including last Friday. And we have here up first the the quickest turnaround between issue released and being on the show, who you may know from Cell Culture, who is in issue 69 of Indiepocalypse just yesterday, a mere about 24 hours ago. Is Lauren? Lauren, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Freshly hatched, I feel.
Yes.
Um, yeah, excited to be part of the Indiepocalypse contributor list. The
The
sphere of game and game related things that you have cultivated.
the ever growing list that I hope that the thing where you talk to a game developer and go, hey, I was also in that, and it creates one point of contact at the very least. Hopefully, you can go, hey, you remember when you got $20? That was cool. Then remember you got $40? That was also cool. Then you go, when do you get more than that? And depending and depending on how recent they are, they might say they might look at me with their wizened eyes and go, expect that $5 or $6 in 9 to 12 months from now. But that is the life to look forward to. It doesn't make a lot, but it makes more as I go to all those conventions that were stopping from doing this show. Um, but the fact that games don't have more things like that, I think, is a ongoing issue. That there's not more like just kind of like casual, like, oh yeah, I get royalties for that. I forgot I did that 4 years ago.
Yeah, that's
You feel,
sweet. I mean,
yeah,
I feel like people have said this to you before. Like, well, I'm very new to making games, so it's the
yeah,
first time I've gotten money for a game.
yes. That's
But
that has both happened for people new to making games, and unfortunately, people not new to making games have both told me that. Um, which is kind of like as all or nothing as games are. I think like people feel like it's like part of the all or nothing is you make commercial games and you get money, or you get the possibility, or you make non-commercial style games and you have basically nobody will ever give you money, no matter how much I like your stuff.
yeah.
Which is the weirdness of like you got to put stuff on itch for free because you want people to play them and they will not play it if it's not free. Like and there's less the kind of you know uh even though you can play like music on Bandcamp and stuff for free, occasionally like, oh, I want to take this with me, or like not have it streaming, and games don't really have that kind of same
Oh, yeah.
desire to download something.
Yeah, like Bandcamp will let you have like three plays and then
It
stop you unless you go into like an incognito tab.
right. And then we should do, should they do
Wait,
on
like how do
itch?
we do that for
You play the
like
game, right? You play
you
the
can
game on
play it
itch three
three
times,
times?
and then it's like, please, that little breaking heart, and please open your wallet. and support these developers.
Yeah, instead of the pay what you want, the phrasing should be like, please open your wallet.
Yeah, I think that is what Bandcamp says, or like
Yeah, that's
it's
exactly
time
what
to
it
open your
says.
wallet.
Yeah. And the breaking heart thing does take up like the whole screen.
Yeah, I mean it works on me. I'm like I do want to listen to this song,
It
and I do
does.
not want to like I'm on my phone. I don't want to have to like open up a YouTube video or open up a browser and go incognito. I'm like, fine, I'll just pay the $5 to $10 or whatever
Yeah.
and get
But
this thing.
I mean, usually when I see that screen, I'm like, you're right. I do enjoy this a lot. I'm listening to it again and again. Maybe
Yeah,
I should throw a
right.
couple dollars at the people who made it.
It is like it's imperfect, but it's good at saying like uh funneling money into artists. Kind of, it feels like, uh, or like not being as annoying as you could be about maybe you should pay for this stuff. It's fun sometimes to like get something and see and like recognize an avatar and go, "Hey, look at that! I know that person. They also bought this."
Oh yeah, the people with similar taste as you that you can
Yeah,
see in the little lineup
right.
over and
Or
over.
I will occasionally see like, an avatar or just like a games person who has a similar avatar across different websites, and I'll be like, "Hello
Oh no
there."
way.
I'm like we also, but speaking of games and all this stuff, enough of all this stuff. Right. Yeah, it's a handy like, oh yeah, I've been listening to this a lot as it turns out. It's a handy feature. But speaking of handy features of games you can play in browser. And speaking of games you can play in browser, Lauren, tell people about if people are unfamiliar with cell culture, how would you describe cell culture?
I don't know how I would describe it. It's very short,
Yeah.
so I want to say just go play it. Um, the best like two-word like way to describe it I can think is like autobiographical slideshow.
Yes. Well, because it is made in
Um,
the up and coming Star engine, Decker.
yeah, Decker is great.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed working with Decker. So I guess I can talk about like it's easier to talk about making it than it is to talk about the thing itself.
Yeah.
Um, I made it for there was the pink Decker Jam, and I was like, okay, the color palette is pink. What detail like what can I think of that's pink that I have something to say about?
Right.
And the thing that I just kept coming back to was um, so am a I'm a molecular biology grad student. That's my day job,
Right.
not game related at all.
Listen,
Um,
important that like I feel like we need to normalize having like day jobs.
yeah, like
Like I'm
I
surprised
don't.
when people don't or think they don't or think it's weird to not have them.
Well,
Uh,
I think it's weird when people. Well, it's not weird. I
right.
know exactly why people feel like they can't just
Yeah.
like make a game. They can't be not a full-time, like games feel inaccessible in a different way than like, you can have a job, but you can still make art like doodling in a sketchbook. That's very
Right.
easy to do. But like people don't feel like they can do the same thing with their computer or like with software or I'm coming at games from the like personal website space. That was
Yeah.
sort of what got me into making art and sharing things. And I just found that as like a fun medium to work with. I really like websites. But then I found Decker, and I love Decker because I'm um, I love tools that just like work in the browser
Yes.
and export to an HTML file. So it's like the whole thing is like self-contained. You can view the source. It's like you have it. You can upload it anywhere. Um,
And yeah, and it's
yeah.
definitely like handy. Well, right, you can look at source, you can import other people's source, and I feel like it is another one of the like there's more and more tools constantly that like
Hmm.
if you just want to make games in the same way that a pen and paper is accessible to everyone who just wants to try drawing, you know.
Hmm.
Uh, having more of these tools is like, oh, you don't need to be like inherently like a complicated programmer, you know.
Hmm.
You can just be like, oh, I want to make a game, and then you are making a game.
Exactly. The thing that got me over that hurdle from having never made a game, having made a game was Bitsy.
Yeah,
That was the first thing I
right.
made where I just, you know, I don't know how many years I had been telling myself like, "Oh, wouldn't it be cool to make a game?" And then one weekend I just sort of woke up and I was like, "I'm gonna make a Bitsy game this weekend." And then I did, and it was done.
Yeah, and then like, it turns out, oh, it doesn't actually take that long,
Yeah.
especially when you aren't like trying to make like a quote unquote, you know, the video like those kind of video games that you were talking about of like people assuming that they have to make a very long, super long video game that is like
Hmm.
commercial. Because I feel like the average person doesn't have like, even if like not a lot of people are like, you know, going to local restaurants and or like buying stuff from local bands, we all like understand the concept. I feel like more people understand the concept that, oh yeah, some people can just like in their garage be a band, you know.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And
Like you can just play music because it feels good to play
right,
music. You can just draw because it feels good to draw. But
right,
like there's more of a like it can just feel good to play around in a game engine
yeah, and
and
then it's
be
like
like, look,
not make anything
true, yeah.
and just like make bits and parts of things like hobbyist game dev, you know,
Hmm.
which is like where art forms are built on the backs of a million hobbyist artists, you know, just hanging around. Uh, and it's so was like the move to try like Decker also like, oh, let me try a similar kind of uh like not lo-fi but like small scale engine.
Yeah, definitely. I had been interested in it for a while and sort of following what people were making with it and loving a lot of it. I was like, I want to make something with Decker. And I there was a jam that I joined. It was like the Decker Visual Novel Jam. And I
Right.
was like, okay, I'm gonna write my first visual novel. And I'm not much of a writer, so I just never came up with an idea. So then I sort of had my chance at redemption with the Pink Decker Jam, and I was like, okay, well, what if I don't write fiction and I just talk about something from my life that I feel strongly about?
Yeah. Which is also like, you know, what a lot of art just kind of comes from of, hey, what if
Yeah.
I just kind of made the thing that I knew and
Hmm.
transplanted it into. It's also like, you know, in you trying to describe or having difficulties in trying to describe it, I feel like that is, you know, increasingly the problem we have with games where, like, describing them because our language is so based around what you do, you know,
Hmm.
and like what you do in almost pretty much any Decker game is you click on UI menus, you know.
Yeah, you click words to advance,
Right.
and then you go to a new screen.
Yes. Yes. Like
That's
there's
sort of the
giant.
mechanical feel of the game is
Right.
uh,
Whole swaths of things is like drastically different things that fall under the giant umbrella of like visual novel. And it's like which could be any. Imagine if like you know if we didn't describe books as like by genre, we described them. Oh, these are books. These are books. It's like okay,
yeah.
well, what kind of book? Oh, it's a book kind of book. You know, you read it. You uh, read front to
Yeah, it's
back.
got
There's words in there. But we like our language is so is so you know in the word is you know conquered by the verb, so to speak, uh,
hmm.
style of game that it's like I don't know, feels like that with time that's gonna like dwindle away a little. Like I feel like it has to by necessity, simply because it's so limited and so many people are like every single day are working in a framework that isn't really served by it.
Well, what do you think will take its place?
I don't think anything will like take its place. I think it'll like I think video games where you're a guy who runs around and collects a bunch of things in open world aren't going anywhere.
True.
But we'll just have like better language and understanding that that's not all of video games. Like a better understanding that like art house exists. That like hobby scale exists. That just like different styles of games exist. I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my working hope. I think. Partially as so many people make stuff, and as there are so many like little subgroups of people around the internet all kind of working together and like sharing each other's work, you get more loose artist collective kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
That it'll start to hopefully feel like you can just like it's the theoretical person getting into games has like a baseline of things that they know, rather than just thinking, oh yeah, long video games, Hollow Knight, that's what indie
Yeah.
games is.
Yeah. I mean, like I remember playing like hobbyist scale games when I was in high school, which
Right.
was over 10 years ago now, and it took me like even then I was like that's so cool. I want to do that.
Yeah.
And it took me until last year to finally do it.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
that is the
and part of that is like the better tools that are
right.
coming out now that make it so much easier.
And just finding like the right time and like just right like, oh yeah, I guess I
True.
will just like sit around and do this now.
Yeah,
um
I guess, yeah, a big part of it for me was maybe as a teen feeling like, well, I don't know if I have anything to say. I haven't lived much of my life yet,
right.
and sort of waiting maybe too long. But,
Yeah,
now that
but
I'm older, it's like now I have things to pull from that aren't like just like the one thing that I know.
yes.
Now I know like two things
Ooh. But there's the
that I
excitement of
can.
also like never underestimate the power of just a teen going for it.
True.
Like that powerful unfiltered art of sometimes it's like messy, but sometimes like, oh, this they've like the kind of like naivety said positively. Um
Oh yeah. No, it
cuz
definitely like some people have that
right.
in them, like ready to go, but that was not the case for me.
Right. And that's like the other the one of the true problems of the internet of like, oh, what, you weren't a superstar by 21 or whatever? Just give up.
Yeah.
This kind of like always comparing the need to compare yourself to like it's the problem of because if you can compare yourself to literally everybody and you're always going to find someone
Oh
who
yeah.
it's like the easiest way to think about it, the way I've always thought about it is like imagine like you were like on your track team and traditionally you just compare yourself to people in your like your local other high schools or even within your own school. And now it's like, oh, I have to compare myself to literally the fastest runners in the world. And it's like, I can't run that fast. Why, why bother running?
Yeah, why get in the race if,
Yeah,
I'm running against everybody?
you're right. But you're not. But it's easy to
Yeah.
feel that. Uh,
Yeah.
and it's also like the hustleness of it all is even worse because it's easy to be like, oh, well, I need to make a product. If you're making art, I think you can run into the impulse to, oh, I need to make a brand. I need to make sure a lot of people are seeing my things. When it's also fine, like, what if 3 people saw it?
Hmm.
Um, what if nobody saw it? What if like three strangers liking your thing is a lot of people to like your thing? you know?
Yeah, imagine three people coming up to you and saying something to your your face, telling you that they like your thing. Then it's like, wow,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
it's like every individual person is like a whole person, you know?
it is a thing that like I I run across frequently, you know, of
Well, yeah, you've been going to a bunch of in-person events, which probably like
yeah,
I don't
that
know,
is
the numbers feel like somebody buying Indiepocalypse like on itch versus like, you know, taking it from your hand probably feels entirely different.
yeah, and like the same thing of like having whatever what is it at right now? Having a new issue comes out and how many people have liked it? Have liked
Oh
this
no.
39.
Don't look.
What does that
Don't
mean?
look
Like that
at
doesn't
it.
mean anything to me. Like but having like, one person come up and is like, "Hey, I know this thing. Hey, it's this thing." It's like, "Are you that guy?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, I'm that guy." Are you part of any podcast? I'm like, I'm all of it. There ain't nothing else. There's just the one. Um, it makes like, and I think that's the same thing of like having people like having like friends. Like it's fun to see different like friend because I am a voracious like art searcher. So like I will often like look into the comments and see like because for better or for worse, most of the people on itch commenting and engaging with are also other game makers primarily. It
I
feels like
like that. I
yeah,
actually that made it that was huge for me. It's like I don't know. I'm more comfortable saying things if the audience is small or like other people making things.
yes,
You know, I don't ever want to put anything on Steam and then have like, you know, gamers look at my like
yes.
little
No,
autobiographical thing and be like, what the hell is this?
I have um what's it called? I have definitely someone has asked me before like about putting it on Steam and I'm like, no, simply because it is because you cannot turn off like community. I would never put anything on. I just don't want to deal with that. It's just not a
Yeah.
thing that I want to deal with. Where I am, publishing so much weirdo outsider art stuff, like, or like maybe, you know, 10 games and some of them are like 5 minutes long. Like I don't know if the market. Also, I don't want to pay $100 for that. Oh, fine. I'm not paying $6,000 to put every Indie Apocalypse
Oh my
on
God.
Steam. Um, and also like the weirdness of like if someone ported it to consoles, I think I could pick like I would make a selection, But if I'm just like putting it up myself, it feels weird. And also like the tech logistics, I'm just like I don't know. I don't feel I do not think Steam is ready for alternative art games.
Mhm.
I don't think Steam is ready for Decker yet. The gamers are not prepared, but we are actually approaching, if you will believe it, almost the end of our segment here. And I have not even got to talk at all. I didn't even get to mention Quibbly at all. That is my own latest hobby that I saw was on your page as well. I don't know, but I have two questions for you, crucial, important Indie Apocalypse questions before we go. Uh,
Mhm.
what's your favorite type of rock?
So probably salt.
Okay, handy. You can eat it.
You know, it's you can eat it. Makes food taste good.
Yeah,
I like that about it.
yeah. You can't. I mean, you can eat a lot of rocks. Not recommended that you eat a lot of rocks.
This is the one that you're like supposed to eat.
Yes,
There are a
Hi-
lot of ones you want to eat, but this one you can.
and that's why I made candy that looks like rocks because of our human desire to eat rocks. Um, and the second question, of course, being optional, because it can have no answer. Uh, uh, who's your favorite Toho character?
So I've never played any of the games, but I'm familiar with some of them because I see fan art of them
Yes.
everywhere. Um, and my favorite is probably like not knowing any of them personally, just purely based on vibes,
Yeah.
is Nightbug.
Okay. I mean,
Because I,
going by vibes is a good way to like also pick your favorite Toho. You know.
yeah, it's like can't go wrong with a bug.
Yeah. A little.
I do love real bugs. I love fake bugs. I love to see a little anime girl that is a bug.
That is a bug adjacent creature. Yeah,
Fans of
and
them all.
but Lauren, that said, before we get into the weeds of things, before I'm looking at the spinning Gundam, and before I find
Okay.
myself talking about the spinning Gundam, I have to
you,
end this. I have to end this segment.
you,
Lauren, thank you for joining me here. We're gonna go on
it
break,
just
so I don't fucking start talking about Gundam, and we'll be back in about how long is this song? About 2 minutes and 34 seconds. Goodbye for now.
goodbye.
The fun stuff of playing games. I'm like before this today. I'm like I just played Res for the first time, and I was like, oh, that's fun. What a fun little game that was. But that's also like speaking of games, there's friggin' and the too many of them there are. Like there's an infinite amount of them. But we're here to talk about people who continue to make games, including someone who made a game that was included with an Indiepocalypse issue number 60 with Advisor, Elderly Paradigm. It's Lucas Viali. Lucas, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. Maybe a little bit anxious because I have not spoken English in 6 months, maybe. And usually,
Okay.
when that happens, I get a little bit rusty and my words are not always understandable. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, there is no worry about that. Indiepocalypse is an international, uh, you know,
Yeah,
a giant international thing. So the fact we
yeah.
enjoy the
Maybe you can
luxury.
start speaking French,
Yes, yes. Well,
and I'm sure someone will understand us out
yeah.
there.
Someone out there will figure it out, but because we have the long legacy of United Kingdom's colonialism spreading English throughout the world. We are stuck with it.
Thanks
Uh,
God.
thank you the monarchy for that. Uh, but anyhow, ugh. Truly, what like the worst reason to have a beneficial thing of us speaking this, like the worst reason that we all have, like, I guess America's done its own great job of contributing to that as well. But the worst reasons for us to have a shared language, not like
Yeah, I feel like maybe America has more of an impact today
yes,
than the UK, since
no,
it's like,
yeah, the
I mean,
the
we
you
always say that America has no culture, but the truth is that it's just a culture which has an impact on most cultures out there in like our countries.
yeah. The UK laid that groundwork, and the US picked up that torch
Yeah,
and ran with it.
it's the sequel.
Yes, the worst sequel. It's a classic. We learned it from watching you. um, but we're not here to talk about countries here. We're here to talk about games, ostensibly. Or I mean, we're here
Yeah.
to talk about anything. Um, but games, we should at least mention them. If people are unfamiliar, how would you describe Advisor Elderly Paradigm?
So, Advisor is a visual novel. In case you don't know what a visual novel is, it's basically you've got text, images, and sound, and you read what's happening,
Yes.
and you can interact with the game with some more or less frequent choices. And here, it's a very simple visual novel. You pretty much have only one scene with one character who is talking to you, and it tells the story of a world in which everyone has started aging much faster than usual. Like in one day, you age as if 1 year had passed.
Yeah.
And you are tasked with making decisions in how to respond to that crisis. And one thing I wanted to do was to make it. Well, actually, when I made the game, I was inspired by another game I made a few years ago with a friend, Maddie Hill. We made a game about internet micro work, like when you. It's something I've done for a few years.
Yeah.
I mean, I've stopped since, but it's work where you are paid. It's usually said that you're paid by the click because it's a collection of very small tasks which are paid like maybe 50 cents.
Yes.
And we were inspired by that to make a game about that kind of industry. And we wanted to make it so that sorry, I'm rambling a bit, but
No, that's fine.
usually in video games, when you have to make choices, you
Yeah.
might not find your choice in the options because not everything can be listed. And we wanted to make it so that it makes sense that there's a limited amount of choices in the game. And so in the game, it was explained that you had a device hooked up to your brain, which would select the first two things which came to your mind and give them as options to interact with the interface.
Right. Right.
And
Because
it's
increasingly there's like that increasing emphasis on like, oh yes, you're like, your choices must matter or whatever in video
yeah,
games, or people wanting to be able to do X, Y, Z, and then like, sometimes like how do you define that, and how do like you like, because there is that like, oh well, how do you limit like sometimes you want to think, well, how do you like limit like in a way that makes sense, not just like mechanically, sometimes like, well, within a story, like
yeah,
um
yeah. Not
sometimes.
everything is possible all the time.
Right. There's like the limitations of making a game, but also sometimes like within the context you want to your limitations to make sense, like narratively.
Yeah.
uh,
And so then in the advisor, the idea is that you have aged too much and you can't talk anymore. And so you can only interact with the other character via a device,
yeah.
which only lets you make binary choices. Uh, and yeah, that's the idea.
Right. And that is, that is a and it also shows like the scope of, quote unquote visual novel, because visual novel describes a lot of different games. It's like,
Yeah,
it's like we talking about in the first segment, we can say, oh, it's a visual novel, but then that like, as you described, it's describing games more holistically, sort of like what they are about, I think is, a better practice to get into of, oh well, like not necessarily what you do in the game, but what you what the game is, what the content of the
yeah,
game serves it
yeah.
better than.
What kind of transpires from it? Like,
Yes, because it's like, oh, you make key choices at events, and I think it's all very. I'm realizing this now. Maybe a better way of phrasing it is it's a very audience centric way of describing games. You know, uh, like what does the
in a way, yeah. Sorry, go
no
on.
no. I was probably just gonna say similar to what you were saying. Um, but it is sort of, a way like, oh, what does the player do? What is the player's interaction with this, rather than like speaking from what the work is, like what is the work saying, what is the work about, what is the art about.
I feel like maybe even more so than other medium, video games might have some sort of a vocabulary problem because we have so many words to define so many things.
Yeah.
But in a way, I feel like we struggle to go out of this vocabulary. Like from time to time, you will have something that comes and enriches it. But even the word video game is kind of limited. It makes
Yes.
sense because of the history of the medium. But so many video games today are, you might not describe them as game from some definitions of game.
Right.
And even some video games feature no video, like no moving image,
Yeah.
just some still images, or even no image at all. So um, yeah, like books make. I mean, even with books today, like you have audiobooks which are not the same, and with a medium which is so young and which has so many possibilities, uh, we just the name of the medium itself is kind of constrained, I feel.
Yes. Yeah. Like it is definitely like the tricky thing where, um, it's the problem of we use games to describe everything in a way that we don't use in any other. Because games is like the raw like the we use the purest form of the medium of like interactive art piece, like it's like digital
Yeah,
interactive art. But in the same way, like we mentioned books, but you would not. It's more like we don't describe games on a book level; we describe them on a written word level. Um, but we have how many different words do we have to describe things that are use the written word? We know poems and novels and plays, and all these things are different than each other. But games don't have those like huge distinctions
yeah.
for these like program led art pieces.
And it might make sense also because the most well-known commercial products, they are easy to define in the
Yes.
sense that they are maybe closer to how we define video games. And for so many people, that's what they see. Like video games, they cost so much to create. I mean, commercial video games at least.
Yeah.
That you can't really stray away from the good video game path. And for movies and mostly books, it's probably easier to experiment because it involves less costs, and
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
maybe
And
maybe that contributes to more vastness being perceived.
yeah, and I think it is also like like a age thing, because they are so relatively new in comparison
Yeah,
that we don't have the all that same, like, it just hasn't built up yet, in the
mm,
same way that uh, what's it called? Like we don't have like the regional flavor of games. I feel like is extremely like we don't have like hyper specific regional flavors like styles of games
yeah,
either. That you might come
yeah,
across in a different medium where you might go, oh, this has a very specific kind of like sometimes by um, what's it called? Like by like city, like oh this is like like especially music. I think especially is it's most common there where it's like this is a
yeah.
sound within that city.
Yeah,
Um,
you can feel that it comes from a specific scene, maybe.
right, right, and they kind of uh, building towards like more scenes, and I think there are like a decent amount of them kind of like cropping up increasingly, um, but
Yeah, there's
just
also a thing with the fact that commercial video games to be like to make enough money, they have to be for an international audience.
yeah,
But for movies, you have like movies from every country which makes movie, which are only made for the audience from that country, and sometimes they might come go out of the country, but
yeah,
you you don't get like video games made in France in French
right,
for French people. I mean, we have plenty of French studios, but they make things for an international audience because that's how it works.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
No,
mean, you can see it in like small indie games, but yes. Sorry, you are going to say?
no. I was just agreeing with that. I was just saying the same thing with like when I was in Montreal. I saw a bunch of posters and trailers and stuff for just movies that were not just never heard of, featuring actors I don't
Yeah.
know that I will probably never like come across me easily unless someone intentionally brings it over there. Like, and there's
Yeah. I mean, you've got things even like for example, the game A Plague Tale. It's set in France and it's made by French people, but the main actors of the game are all uh, I mean they're French too, but they are acting in English.
right.
And I think maybe if we could have had it be in French with maybe subtitles or something like that, but in a way, we are so used to having products made primarily for an English-speaking audience that it's not really feasible to not have them be the main audience.
Yeah, and that is definitely like an issue of scale, where
Yeah,
games need to make like people don't want to fund small scale stuff, and because it all and similar because games don't have the same kind of brick and mortar. Like, they don't have theaters. You don't have video game movie
yeah,
theaters. You don't have like video game concert venues. You don't have
yeah. We
like
don't release games for arcade anymore.
right.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I mean, it's not something that doesn't exist at all, but it's hard to find spaces for where game live, which are not just shops,
Right.
like just places to go and play games. You can, I mean, you can go see movies at the theater, as you said.
Yeah.
You can go to listen to music at a concert, but you don't have that for games. We have plenty of ways to celebrate games. Like we might have concerts of video game music,
Right.
but you can't really. I mean, arcades are not really much of a thing anymore,
No,
except
no.
for I mean,
Yeah.
you can still find arcades, but it's not the same.
Yeah, I don't know if you have like barcades over in France at all, or if that's a
Arcade, like a bar, which is an arcade,
yes. It's an
right?
increasingly
Yeah.
common thing in the U.S. at the least.
We might have a few, but I know a few bars which might have uh, one game.
Right,
But
right, but it's not like part of the theming of the. It's not like a
yeah,
specific bar that is also an arcade. Yeah, that is.
I, and I would love to see more places like appear which are dedicated to physical and maybe more experimental games.
Yeah,
Uh, because I mean, like for example, alt controller games, they can't exist without like a specific physical presence
yeah,
because they are made of specific material and you can't just download them.
right.
And I would love to see more places where you could see weird game which can only exist in a specific place for one reason or another. Oh, sorry, can you hear the
Yeah,
siren behind me?
yeah, but don't worry about that. That's fine. You can't turn it off.
I live near a fire station.
Yeah, that's that. No,
And
that's no
there's
problem.
lots going on tonight. I wonder if there was a big accident, but
Yeah, who knows? But hopefully not.
I'll read it in the news tomorrow. Yeah,
Yes,
just
but
a drill.
it is, it is like, and I found a weird thing where it's hard to like even like game shops are like
Yeah,
the ones I've gone to are
it's
mostly
hard for
like
them to survive. Yeah.
they're very retro focused. I feel like, and
Mm.
they're like
And I
I've
don't.
asked before like, oh, let me try to like I produce physical indie games. Would you want to sell them, buy them, put them on consignment? I got a lot of no's. Like it's weird
Oh, did
that
you
like
get any yes?
no, I have not.
Oh,
But
because yeah, it would be great to have some of your tapes. in stores.
I mean, that was my instinct of like, oh, in the same way that like, sometimes indie bookstores will carry like local books or like zines and things like that in like bookstores
Yeah,
and comic shops. But I'm like, oh, of course, games would do that. But it's like part of it. I think it is so infrequent that you have like me asking and not anyone else. So people like aren't even used to the question coming up.
yeah,
Um, but it's also kind of like I think part of that same problem of it being uh, just like homemade indie game kind of stuff just doesn't exist culturally in like that same way. That kind of like
yeah.
DIY scale where people
Mm,
think about that or value that for better for worse or for worse. In that case, I wasn't even for better. That's a strictly for worse. Um, but I think it's also my hope is it's also like semi generational. Uh,
yeah.
like part part of it seems like we just gotta let the old people fade away. Let the old people burn out. Let those the 2010s, 2000s bloggers of the world who are still industry brained kind of fade away a little. Because I think the conversation gets sucked up by people who have the loudest voices, and they want to, that just skirts from popular release to popular release because that's also what gets you. It's like that vicious cultural cycle.
Yeah.
You're
Right,
relevant,
it's kind of you have to be loud, and the louder you are, the louder you keep on being.
right? And in order to keep people paying attention, you still need to talk about things that people want to hear about. So you have to like it just kind of self perpetuates kind of cultural dead end conversation kind of stuff where you don't want to you make that post that about a cool indie game that you found on itch that nobody knows about and 3 people react to it. It's like, well, I didn't get my numbers high enough. My posts aren't
Yeah.
performing well enough. And it's like, who cares? But that is like it's an easy trap to understand getting mentally caught in.
It's kind of hard to have a presence today online, I feel. I mean, I don't really like social media,
No,
and
I
I've
hate it.
tried a few times to kind of be more present, but it's just so soul-sucking for me.
Yes.
And you really have to. I mean, as I said, you have to be loud. Uh, and constantly you can't just stop. And even if you play by the rules, it's not. There's no guaranteed success. So
Right. It was a lot of his people like, hey, look at this person who did this, ignoring the other 500 people that also did that and did not
yeah,
make a lot of money. Like or get it like a lot of wide acclaim. I mean, art is random. Art is
mhm,
and focusing too much on like commercial success is a trap because it's one of those like commercial success is like the least. How do I say this? It's uh, one of the least preserving qualities of any piece of art.
yeah. And
Like
also chasing it is hard because you can't really predict it. I mean,
right,
to some extent you can, but it's not a science. And you will see people trying to create the new Undertale or the new Stardew Valley, but the fact is that, I mean, it's not because they worked that they would have worked in another context. I mean, they are great games, but I don't. That's not exactly true. But
right,
it's what I mean is that you can't emulate a success, and it's hard to see what will work in a specific time.
right. Because even nothing even particularly special about Stardew. It's just kind of like uh,
Yeah.
it's kind of like another Harvest Moon style game that hit at the right time.
Mhm. And it's very well produced, but
Yeah,
today there are so many well produced games that come out.
right. It's one of those games where I say this as someone who did play a lot of it. Um, but when you think about that, like removed from its success, like 20 years removed from like the financial success of Stardew Valley, for instance, how interesting is that as a game on its own, anymore?
Yeah, and you might. I mean, I wouldn't have any example like that, but
Right.
maybe some successors have
Right.
surpassed
Because
it since.
the thing is, we don't remember them
Yeah.
because that is, we just don't, the things that like a lot of their success hinges on their financial success. We just forget about those things
Mm.
because that is like their predominant cultural touchstone is that they're 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 perfectly fine and financially successful, and eventually people, it kind of like slips from people's brains. But things that don't slip from people's brain, rock. Lucas, what's your favorite type of rock?
Oh, it's a good thing that I heard you ask the question earlier
Yes.
because otherwise I wouldn't have been ready. But in French we call them galets. I'm not sure there's a word for it in English, but you know the flat ones which you can use to skip to skip stones.
Yes, I don't think we have a specific word for that, but I know what you mean.
Okay,
Um,
well I like them because it's fun to try and find them by the lake or something like that, and uh, you've got a way to use them afterwards.
yes. No, that is a very common favorite type of rock here. So, but I've never heard a specific word. That's not of the many loan words that we have. That is not one of them. Um,
Okay, so it's not because I don't have enough vocabulary. Good for me.
no, it is a one of those like that's a fun. I mean, that's why loan words exist in across languages. Is
Yeah,
a language has a very specific word, and it's like,
and it's strange that we have a word for it in French. Maybe we skip stones more often.
yeah, maybe you're a stone skipping country. I'm like, I feel like we skip plenty of stones here, but enough stones. You're distracting from the important. The second important question is, who's your favorite Toho character?
This one is trickier because I don't know much about two. Like when I was a teen, I spent like a few months playing Us on my computer.
Yeah,
Uh, and there's a lot of popular 2 song in it, but I don't think I know any character from it.
that's
I
oh,
played
that,
one. Sorry.
no, that's perfectly fine. All right. Oh, the question. That's why the question should be. I was phrasing it wrong. It should be, do you? And the answer can be, no, I don't have one.
Yeah, I don't.
That's perfectly fine. Um,
Yeah,
well, Lucas, thank you for joining me here. We're gonna go on the second
yeah,
break,
and
and we'll be back in a brisk
yeah. See you
54
later.
seconds, more or less. Um, goodbye for now. Hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Taco Cat with Skate Witch. We are here with our final guest of the show, also from issue 68 of Indiepocalypse, with a much longer title. I want to make sure I get properly. Laughing Apocalypse Redux. It's Ames. Ames, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. It's hot again in Canada, which is it's weird. Like climate change is really in full effect. It's not
Yeah,
supposed to be this hot.
I know. As someone who was just in Canada last week,
Yeah, you were in Montreal and it's usually freezing like at this time of year.
no,
Like
it was
it's
t-shirt weather.
perfect. I'm glad to hear that.
I walked for 2 hours. No, an hour and a half, I think, or somewhere around there. Um, on account of I made it for like the last. I made the last bus drop the last bus because there may still be going on in Montreal a transit strike. So they're like, fine, no buses for you, buddy. And I was like, I didn't know, I'm an American. Um, but they dropped
Did
us
you
off
have to
like
take Via Rail? Did you have to take Via Rail anywhere? Or?
no. So I think I did. So on the way on the weekend there was none. So full transit open. But I took the bus, the old 747 as they call it. But they basically kind of got us to like the first stop within Montreal, and then they're like, get off. We're done
Oh,
here."
man.
So it was a nice hour and a half walk through Montreal, which I actually like doing. I like walking through a city.
It's a
Um,
great walking city too. Rue St. Catherine closes
yeah,
during the summer, I believe, and it's just beautiful.
yeah. There's this whole couple blocks that are just like Oh, there are no cars allowed down here.
Hmm.
It's so nice. I mean, I recently did a small walking tour of Toronto this year as well, in which, because I'd flown to Pearson for so many years. I was like, oh, wait, Billy Bush is actually in the city. um,
Hmm.
and within walking distance of the things that I go to. So, it was a nice, another brisk hour. I don't mind a long hour walk um, through a
Well,
city.
that's just the thing is I'm happy like because you mentioned you were here for Toronto Games Week and we've all been discussing like what can we do to create more opportunities for people to come and interact with indie games physically and in public and to meet people. And I'm so happy there are things like Toronto Games Week and smaller sort of efforts all over the world that are
Yeah.
trying to keep this moving because I think I agree with all of you. It's so vital and we need more of these opportunities and more sort of like to kind of get back in person kind of because that's how I'm kind of feeling right now is I think we can all relate to being like I don't know if you guys feel like basement dwellers but like I definitely do sometimes and I don't
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a homebody and I need to get out more and
Uh,
I'm so happy to hear that things like this are building and kind of coming back now, which is great.
yeah. I have the blessed luxury of having been an essential worker. So
Same here. Same
uh,
here.
I was, and also I I've thought about it, but I like having non-remote work. I like having a box that I work in, and then another box as
Mhm,
my house.
mhm. The separation is so important.
Yeah.
It can't be stressed enough.
No, like it is nice to be like when 4 o'clock hits. Like no matter what, like when I see like 3:55, I start to wrap things up. When 4 o'clock is done, no matter what work I have or what work I have left, I just put it in a big pile, drop it off. I'm like, I'm done. See ya. I'm out of here. It'll be here
Yeah.
tomorrow.
And I'm sure maybe we're all on the same page and this can come back around like when we're all
Yeah.
together discussing. But I really relate to the fact that like we're all sort of like hobbyist devs and because I definitely we were talking about day jobs earlier and I'm one of those people. And it's okay if people feel differently, but I do not want to work in the games industry.
Yeah.
I have no aspirations besides like I come from like the sort of like, I used to play in bands. And, for me, it was just all about getting together with friends and like we were all into the same music. We would all go to the same sort of like punk, metal, sort of hip hop, like all sorts of like sort of local shows here and Toronto and then other cities like London, Ontario. And
Yeah.
so I come from that background. And so there's like there's no like real like aspiration for like the AAA or like the big leagues for me. It's just all about making stuff and I think we are maybe all on the same page there. I just love making stuff and I'll never
Yeah.
stop making stuff, but I don't want it to be my full time. Like that's I'm very comfortable saying that. It's
Right.
just I'm not built for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I think it requires like even a certain like I think it probably will always require a certain kind of game, in order to do that. I think
Definitely.
there'll be more space for people to do the kind of like very hobbyist scale. Like, the United States government, when I do my taxes, asks me how much money did I make from my hobbies this year. Uh,
Yep. I'm a dual citizen, US, Canada, so I just had to do that too. It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun
yeah,
submitting my forms for Mitch.
but it is like a thing. Like even the government's like, yeah, you can make money off of hobbies. The government's ahead of the game scene in that sense. Um,
Definitely. Definitely.
but it is like I think because there is the understanding that you're like, oh yeah, I've got to make a bunch of money from my game. Um,
Well, it's the time we put in, right? I
right.
think that's what it comes down to is like, it's different. We were talking about bands jamming in garages. We were talking about, people making, obviously, I think film and video games kind of have like some overlap. Like
Right.
it can take a long time to make a musical album. I don't want to say like everybody takes
Yeah.
different, but like, I also like know a lot of people who make movies and like or try to make little short films and stuff and like the amount of time you put in to that and the amount of time you put into making games or anything interactive in general is just a lot. And so I get why people feel kind of stuck because it's like, oh, I put all this time in. Um, you know, it would be cool if I got money, but like I'm happy. Like I put, for Laughing Stock, like I put almost 4 full years into it, and it went from being a sketch into what you can play now on itch.io and in Indiepocalypse 68. And I'll say this, like I will always offer it for free
Right.
because I don't I just I'm coming from that music world too. Like I'm completely comfortable with I don't want to create barriers to like people playing
Yeah.
anything that I put out. And if you want a tip, like that's so cool. I love that. But you know, there are other opportunities I think to make a little money on the side. So I'm so like amazed and blown away when I discovered what you were doing, Andrew, with the USB cases, because I've done something a little bit similar with like these flash pack
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
with USBs in them, just for my own games. And you know, so I've been able to like, you know, sell a few of those to like some close friends and whatnot, because they wanted to have physical copies of my game. And it's been really rewarding just to, you know, physical media is not dead. And I think there are younger generations. I loved the conversations we were having earlier, and that I was listening to,
Yeah.
because I think there are younger generations now, and I'm seeing it in the music world too, where like younger generations want to have like a cassette or want to have a
Yes.
CD
Yeah.
or want to have something, you know,
I
physical, which I
yeah.
appreciate.
I felt between just this year in between PAX East and PAX West. It like at PAX West, it was noticeably like a noticeable increase in people going, "Oh, so it's DRM free. Oh, so I just own this. Oh,
Hmm.
so it's just like there was a market change in people who are like want to have physical media that is theirs. You know.
I
Um,
think it's so awesome, and I'm so grateful. We're all so grateful that you're doing this.
well,
It's
I
amazing.
will. Thank you.
Mhm.
I mean, really, I am just like copying with like music and everyone else has done for like a long time. You know, it's like it's basically like an indie label, but where games don't
Mhm.
have indie labels in the same way because they want like sometimes indie label is just a guy that has $200, you know, and is like, yeah, I'll publish your stuff. I have, you know, a better recording stuff. You know, sometimes it's just the person who's doing the legwork of getting your stuff out there. You know.
Mhm. And it does help. Like it does motivate. Like you know, like it does. It can be motivating when you see someone like, oh, like I actually like this so much, so I'm gonna give you a buck. Like
Right.
I think that is really, even if it's just a buck, like that feels really good. You
Yeah,
know, like
that's
it's just
part of
oh,
my
you feel.
weird distance I try to keep to some degree, and I was like, I think it's helpful if I'm a stranger, you know, saying,
Mhm.
"Oh, hey, yeah, I'll pay for this thing as a stranger," rather than like just all my friends submitting constantly, you know, that kind of feeling. It's like, oh, well, I got in, but I know that guy.
Mhm. And do you feel like we're going through, like I also feel like we're going through like a golden age of like open source things. Like we were talking about how games have, it's never been more accessible to like start making games with things like Bitsy and Decker and like all these new like wonderful little engines, so to
Yeah,
speak. But yeah, like I think we're kind of entering this golden age of like open source things, and I hope that kind of continues, because otherwise I would have found it like 5 years ago when I started like, oh my gosh, I can do this. I can make something interactive.
yeah,
Like it was so exciting to find all this stuff that, you know, again, you were talking about DRM earlier, and like I think, you know, like I guess I was thinking, oh, maybe if I'm going to learn like the 3D software, I need to get Maya or something like that. And then
yeah,
I was like,
right,
no,
right.
there's this thing called Blender, and it was like it was almost just like a light bulb that went off, and you know, going on YouTube and through I think we can all relate, going through thousands and thousands of tutorials and like all that stuff. When you finally like learn something, it's such a huge payoff. And I think games are so cool because it's a way for all of us, we're all so creative, and like it's a way for us to marry like all the mediums and all the things we're interested in into the interactive sort of
Yeah,
format. So I'm so glad that it's easier than ever now for people to kind of get into it, you know.
yeah. It's like, I mean, we're like we are at a point where there are like so many different tools and so many different ways to make games. We're only just going to get more of them with time, but like we've got such a healthy supply of them currently, you know, that anyone who's like, yeah, I want to dig into games, I want to make my own game, it's like just very easy to do that, you know. um, and speaking, we haven't even gotten to it, speaking of all these games, if people don't know what Laughingstock Apocalypse Redux is, how would you describe it to someone?
Yeah, so it's a 3D adventure game, and when I first made, I mentioned earlier that it took me around 4 years to put it into the current format that it's
Right.
in. And it started with you can read about it in the PDF, the awesome zine that comes with Indiepocalypse 68 in my postmortem. But basically, I joined this jam very quickly. It was called a game by its cover, and
Yes.
it's based on the My Famicase exhibition, which is
Yes,
held
I'm
in Japan.
very. Fr-
Have you been to it?
I,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of like in the rare times that I actually get the chance to make when I want to make games. Um, I boot up a random family case and I go, what? I make a short sketch of like, what would this game be? You know?
Exactly, this fantasy sort of game, which is very exciting, and
Yeah.
I was so stoked when I saw that that was like a game jam, and that it was a continue, like it's been going on for quite a while.
Yeah.
And so the idea behind the jam on itch was that you pick, yeah, as Andrew was mentioning, you pick the Famicase on there, and you basically, yeah, you sketch out a game. So the first iteration of Laughing Stock, which is still available on my itch page, was just a sketch based on a Famicase, and then I put it on the back burner. I realized very quickly, and I think a lot of devs can relate to this, it's like you hit a wall in your learning curve.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, okay, I just need to take some time. I really need to get to learn Godot before I start the Godot engine, which is an open source engine. I really need to take time to like learn how to program, learn GD script. And so I took that time. I made a bunch of other projects on the side, and then I returned to Laughingstock a few years later, and I was actually able to like build it into a thing. And I think, one thing that's really hard for like solo developers or small teams, and I think it's very relatable, is that you have a hard time finishing things. And so
Right.
for me, I really wanted to finish the sketch that I initially put out. I just didn't want to keep moving on to different projects. And so I finally sat down, I finished it. How I describe Laughingstock is, getting back to it without
Yeah.
rambling too much, is that it's a 3D adventure based on like the sort of when you first start a game, like up a game from your childhood, that nostalgia, that rush of nostalgia you get from entering sort of the starting village or the starting area. I wanted to kind of base the game off of that vibe. And so I created like a 3D sort of like Dasha scenes, this sort of pastoral scene, and then I wanted to have basically a break in reality happen where you realize that the veil between this world, like the very pastoral, like sort of farm like area, and the next world, which is like full of demons and like sort of chaos. I wanted to basically have those two worlds converge on one another, because
Yeah.
that's a trope I love in all media. And so I just wanted to explore that and also have it harken back to the sort of like starter village, like the all those games I played when I was a kid that just give me that rush of nostalgia. So that's kind of what it is today.
Yeah. And it's like, and that is, increasingly the importance of, thinking about how games work in general of like, um, yeah, it is like people are getting, just getting better at describing, and I think that is like part of seeing that generational shift is like, how you describe what a game is, like what the game is, not like uh going, oh well, it's just an adventure game kind of thing, like it's a 3D adventure. It's like, well, yeah.
I mean, what I could say is you throw cows around in it.
Right.
Maybe that's a fun thing to say. It's like I
Yes.
like throwing stuff in games, so I wanted to do that. And I had
Right.
another game where you threw stuff around, and I
And
don't know.
you,
I was just feeling the rage room vibe, kind of. If
yeah.
anyone's into that, like,
But
I
and it
just like
is,
causing chaos.
we are increasingly running into games like this. They don't have like, we don't have the clear language, I think, to define them. Uh,
And I think that's where maybe like you and Lucas were talking about it, but the language around like words like video games and like interactive. And I think the problem is I think people get hyper focused on video game,
yeah.
and like everything is interactive, right? Like it's all interactive. Like that's one thing that I think, I remember like you guys were talking about Steam earlier too. And I remember when I won't say they're the first walking simulators, but like this I remember there was just this venomous pushback
Right.
towards walking simulators, and people were like, "This isn't a game. This isn't a game." And again, it just harkens back to music, where it's like, this isn't real, like emo music or what.
Right.
I hate that stuff. I've always hated genre and words like that. Like I know it's such a cliche, but I really do. I hate like putting things in boxes, and I think we just like the things we like, right?
Yes.
And I
And
don't think it needs to be so like intellectualized. I don't know. I don't know. I hope that's not too savage, but like I
no,
just I think
I
yeah,
think
people get obsessed with words and it trips everything up,
right,
and
right, and
it's just
especially where
yeah.
games like don't even have like they're not even being weird and music snob about it, where they don't have like a lot of word. Like I wish games had more like snobbery, in it.
You think so? Yeah, it's
Or
interesting.
like
Yeah,
a more interesting version of it,
right, right.
like
Yeah, rather than
it's
the reductive, like the immediately reductive, like this isn't a game, like
right.
like that
Or I
sort of.
guess what people are getting snobbish about is like the video game equivalent of like Imagine Dragons. Um,
Oh, I see. I see. And
just
like
like
with all this, well, yeah, people calling like sort of like small, like someone's like, first attempt at like trying out a mechanic or whatever, when they call that like slop or like shovelware, like that
right.
always, I don't know if anyone relates to that, but I find that always kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of it's very reductive. It's very
Yes.
reductive,
I think
and
it
I
is a
don't like
very
it.
like games come from a very tech brained space
Mhm.
where like it's oh, tech has solutions and problems or whatever in theory, I
I think if
guess.
you have the courage to just sit down and just make something, I think that's worth it enough.
Right.
Like that's how I feel. And I think it always, if someone actually takes the time to sit down and write that comment out, they've got something going on. You know what I mean? Like they're feeling insecure in some way, and
It's
they're just choosing in that moment to direct it at you. And I never take it personally. And thank goodness, no one's ever
right.
said that to me. But like, I think there is a layer of insecurity there when people take the time to be like, this is just shovelware, or this is just slop, or like, I don't know. But then there are things where it's just like it is slop, and I
Right.
don't know. Yeah. I get what you're getting at too.
There's the it's also like the weird problem that you have in kind of like modern art sometime, or like the modern art culture where everyone is feels like everyone's struggling, so you don't have the same space for like to be critical of things,
Hmm.
because you're like, oh no, the everyone must support each other kind of thing, uh, when sometimes like, oh, I just don't like this. uh, and I think
Just
there's
game.
room to like dislike something or dislike someone's approach to something without being like, uh, it's a personal attack, or like that's it's a healthy part of, or like because one person doesn't like a thing that you like an approach to something, it's like, oh well, that means my thing is bad and no one will ever like it. It's like, well no, one person doesn't like it.
Hmm.
um,
And it shouldn't matter. You made something and you
right.
put it out there. Like that is a victory, like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And most times I feel like the people making that comments, check their profile. I don't think they're releasing stuff. Like,
Yes, yeah, no, it's and it's like we get too caught up, I think, sometimes in that games need to be like every game needs to be for everybody, when that's like we know that's definitely not the case.
I agree. I agree. And like it's okay not to like I have some friends who will never play like I guess like a Souls like game, or
Right.
don't like roguelikes or whatever. And the difference is that they just won't play the game, but some people will just like, I need to keyboard about this for a minute, and it's
Right.
like, just don't play it.
Yeah.
It's just like music, like just don't engage with it. Like that's all you have to do, you
Yes.
know?
You don't
Yeah.
have right. You no matter what the all those charts will tell you, no one's forcing you to like fucking in the airplane over the sea.
Yes, exactly.
And a
And
lot of
film
people
world.
do
Yeah.
not like those. And it's like, yeah, that's what we need more. Like, I feel like we need more critical darlings in games that are utterly unlikable. Uh,
Yes. That would be
I
fun.
say that
Yeah.
someone does really like that album, but it is also like a beautiful thing of like, oh, I can see this is truly unlikable. Like, easily unlikable is how I like to think about things.
Yeah. Do I have time to give it like a quick example? Like it's
Yeah.
like I'm really inspired by this guy named Matt Dickey, and
Yeah.
he's been making games for like 20
Yes.
years. He's like yeah, you're aware.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm unfortunately like wrestling trash, like pro wrestling trash, like
Okay.
entertainment
So
trash.
Matt
I
Dickey is
don't
like
watch
fully for
WWE.
you.
Yes, fully for me. And I've never liked wrestling games. Like even like some of my friends are like, well, you got to play No Mercy. That's the best game. But basically this guy makes like the best wrestling game on his own. It's so janky. It's called Wrestling Empire. And he's made it all on its own. And it's basically like a wrestling RPG, but it's so silly and weird. And he's taken 20 years and he's just made the same games like over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But he finally got to this point, and now he's like made like 1 million off of like this one game, and he's now making like I think like a religious version, like a Holy Bible version of
Yeah.
of the same game. So he's just reskinning everything. But I'm so inspired by him because like just no matter what, he's found his like little pocket,
Yeah.
and he just keeps doing it over and over, and it works. And I think it's cool. Like love him or hate him, like it's kind of there's so many examples like that, like just people who've been doing it for years and years and years. But like I just think it's so cool that he is basically like all these AAA companies are putting tons of money into making a WWE game or like whatever, and I'm never going to play those games. I don't even watch the product
Right.
itself. But like now it's like M Dickey is like on for a fraction of the budget is making like the most fun thing you can play for
Right.
14.99 versus 89.99, right?
Right.
It's
And
just like
because he's been
it's
at it
so
for
cool.
like 20 years.
Yes, 20 years, literally, from
Just
2D to
like
3D and beyond. Yeah.
yeah, just like nonstop, and like it's weird how like games culture is bad at recognizing people like that, that are just like been around forever, just making like out, what in some like to some degree almost constitutes outsider art. Um,
Definitely. I agree with that. Hmm.
like that's the games culture. It just feels so narrow that like it's harder to because whenever I say things like I'm always thinking of like thinking from the brain of someone who is like just approaching this.
Hmm.
Like someone's like, okay, maybe I'm someone who's just like, okay, I want to get into art games. I want to get into XYZ types of games. I think a lot about that theoretical person and like where they go to find games. Like what is their solution. Like what website do they read? What list do they look at? And increasingly, it's like I don't know how much. Like there are like good indie sites, but like also, I wonder sometimes if I just know them because I know them.
Yeah, definitely. And there are places outside of itch too,
Yeah.
like that's the thing that have been around way longer than itch, and it's just it's I'm glad that there are so many like there's so many rabbit holes you can fall down. Like
Yeah.
thank goodness. Like there's no shortage of outsider sort of video game stuff out there, which I'm very happy about. I'm just worried like I think the one thing I'm worried about is like game preservation,
Yes.
and I've come to know a few people like this person named Nilson Carroll, who for a
Yes.
long time, they were originally a part of the Queer Games Bundle Collective, but before that, I believe they
There it
had this
is.
like video
Nelson
game
Carroll.
archive. Yes, yeah, Nilson Carroll, and
Yeah. No, I'm familiar. Yes.
yeah, because they had like a page where they were just archiving, like trying to keep game. I think I forgot what the page was called
Right.
now, but they were just trying to keep a bunch of outsider games alive, and they are an outsider. I'd say like an outsider game dev
Yeah.
themselves. And
They did a gallery show earlier this year, I believe. Um, like out in Rochester, New York.
Mhm.
Um, of games, and they're I think they're out of Rochester. Cannot
Yeah, I
remember.
think so. That sounds about right. That sounds
Yeah,
about right.
but um, but yeah,
And then even there are people like Ash K too, who makes all
yeah,
these wonderful tools and like besides like not just games but also just tools and wonder like the bundle
right,
launcher,
exactly.
right, that
Emma
we use
Bundle
for
Launcher
Indiepocalypse. Got to
is
shout it out too.
is
But yeah,
the beating heart of Indiepocalypse is the MM
yeah,
Bundle Launcher. No,
exactly. So it's like it's not just games and interactive stuff, it's like tools too, and like
yeah,
all that stuff is wonderful as well.
And like the thing I'm increasingly wondering is like does someone like when does indie sites like I think Critical is like one of my Critical spells KRTIQAL is like a top resource, like because it's full of like tons of interviews with a bunch of developers. Basically, is the bulk of what Critical is, I think, at this point. But if you're like, oh, I want to hear a lot about cool indie devs with like a more focused conversation style than I have on this show, Critical is very good for that. I don't know, is freegame.es still around or some iteration of that? Freegam. I forget.
I forget, but I'm gonna fall down the Critical
Yes.
rabbit hole for sure. For sure. Thank you for that.
Highly recommend Critical. I don't remember. There's been a different iterations of Terry Kavanagh blogs of free games, which are highly recommended. But there's like Deep Hell and Indie Hell, the Parrot Hell ones, Indie Hell Zone that I think of. But there's also probably plenty that I'm not thinking of, that I'm going to blank on in the moment. But there's like there's tons of them there, and also there's just like sometimes just like people, you just got to like find people who are just like interested. But the thing is, a lot of it is like hard to find sometimes,
Definitely.
where it's like how we want something as clean as like well, not Pitchfork anymore. Whatever has taken over for Pitchfork since it's been very what it is. But I'm sure
Since the Condé Nast Exodus or whatever.
There's the one I'm blanking on the name of that is a similar vibe of like very indie coverage.
There's Quietus. They're
Quietus,
based in.
that's what it was.
Yeah, I love Quietus. Yeah,
Yes.
That's my favorite.
There's not something like Quietus scale of like, oh yeah, no, I want to find weird games,
There's it's funny, I've gotten this page, I haven't quite been on it, but I'll make everyone aware of it. But there's this page that I only became aware of because I was like, oh my God, I get it. Why am I getting so many clicks on my game?
Right.
And I went into like, the analytics on itch and they were called weird fucking games,
Yes.
pardon my French.
Yes, that's also a lot of
yeah.
like and it's like there is like definitely like it's better than the name leads on, I think.
It is, I agree.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have been aware if they didn't post my game on there. I was like, thank you. And it's all short, like relatively, like the little blurbs they include are short, but it's still very cool. And if you just jump on there, you'll be sure to bump into something that you want to check out.
And it is like definitely like there is a lot of crossover. I feel like there is us looking back at myself and weird, the old weird fucking games below, looking back and forth at each other, at developers.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like weird, kind of, I think it's easy to think of like YouTuber, like, check out this weird game. What drugs were they on when they making that? But it is not that. Like, it is like very much engaging with the games.
Yeah,
and, like, really,
I'm okay with the weird. Yeah, too. I'm like okay with it. I'm like, yeah, I did.
Yeah, like here, like one of the more recent ones is Damon. I don't think I'm saying. I never know if that is actually the pronounce. I think that may not be the proper way to say that word with demon with an A in it. It might just be demon. But that was a recently, that was an Indiepocalypse commission game that only went live very recently.
That's sweet. So they were right on that.
Yeah. So like, or went live fresh from Indiepocalypse recently. So there's lots of like, it's fun to see like, oh, there is a lot of like overlap here in a lot of places, but there is, and I think that's a good thing to start to see like a lot of overlap, among, different curatorial spaces, because that's how you get more towards, you don't need like a necessarily, a hard canon that people must obey, but it's good to have like, I think, I always think, like I've said multiple times, I think of that theoretical person just coming into things and being able to find something.
I just love finding weird stuff.
Yeah.
That's me. I just love like I don't know. I've always been that way, just like just almost compulsively just searching for things. And
Yes.
it's also I think it harkens back to, like I had an extremely chaotic childhood, so going on the internet, playing games, that was like my like mode, and I've never gotten out of that mode, and
Right.
it makes me happy. So it's like yeah, I'll always keep going down rabbit holes and finding stuff. It's just like I love exploring, love finding stuff. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah, there's like, and also there's, I'm sorry, now I'm looking at like, there's just so much stuff, and seeing like, oh, I recognize people in the comments. Like, it is hard to sometimes, I think, become that kind of person that's like really like, I think it was like primary source searching, where you
Hmm.
were just digging in yourself. Uh, but having more secondary, like more easily findable secondary sources of like, oh yeah, I I don't have time to dig around a million, like dig around an itch myself, but I have a few websites in my RSS that will just show me cool games.
Hmm.
But speaking of cool things and curatorial rocks, hey rock, what's up?
So my
What's your favorite
favorite
type of
rock,
rock?
does Rock Lobster count?
It does
I'm a
count.
huge B-52s fan, so
That
I gotta say Rock Lobster.
yes, that is a type of rock. People like that is often the, and I feel like the first person often sets the tone when like are they referring when they decide whether they decided the music or the mineral structure.
Definitely.
Um,
Well, I think Rock Lobster is both. Is it both? I think.
yes, I
I'm
mean
not sure.
there.
Yeah.
Here's the fun
It
thing
wasn't a
about,
rock. It wasn't a rock, but it was a rock lobster. So
yeah,
it's yeah.
and that's the fun of music genres of like, freaking, what is that? What the B-52s are rock? Are they, what are they new wave? Are they
Who cares? They're the
right?
B-52s in my book. They're yeah.
It's just impossible. Like music genres have got it right where they've got roughly 8 million genres.
And they're the perfect band for that because they, in my opinion, they are, without getting too into it and too into my fandom, like they pull all the music that they grew up listening to and funneled it into what we call, I guess, new wave and everything like
Right.
that. And I just think it's great. They're just taking the music that they loved as kids and rehashing it in a new way. And I just love that so much. Well, and adding like a hard edge to it as well. I love them so much.
Yeah, there's infinite like. Anyway, before we get too in the weeds about music, another thing to get into the weeds about at the end of the segment. Do
Fandom
you
I know nothing about. No, I'm kidding. I'm
do
kidding.
you have a favorite Toho character?
You know what? So I am completely Toho ignorant, but I
That's
found a Toho generator, character generator, and so I'm just going with the first one it generated for me because I was like, this is me. It's so their name is Merlin Prism River, and
okay.
it says they're capable of playing chaotic notes. So I don't
Perfect.
know if that's a fake. Are they a fake? I don't know.
That
I
sounds
have
like a
no
fake
idea.
Toho, but that sounds like it
A
is
fake
making a
Toho?
Toho for you.
Yeah, but I'm like, cool. That's me. That's my Toho character.
Well, perfect. We have an entire. Ames, thanks for joining me. We're gonna go on a break before I was about to spin up another conversation, but like no, I'm actually gonna go on break.
That's sweet. So the playlist, Lucas was mentioning the playlist earlier. Where is that in the email, I think,
Hello. Okay,
or
I'm back. Sorry,
oh,
I had
no
connectivity
worries.
issues. I think it's on
I
my
found
Twitch
it on
page.
the about page. Yeah,
Yeah,
It's on
that's
the
where I
Twitch
saw
page.
it.
Okay, I
yeah.
gotta follow that
It's
too.
called
I
something
gotta,
like a bunch of songs I definitely did not play on Indiepocalypse Radio.
oh yes, love that. I
um,
gotta.
but we are going on a break to play another one of those songs, and we'll be back about 2 minutes 6 seconds. I'm having a fun problem. Anyway, be back later. But we are back at Indiepocalypse Radio. that was, of course, a JJ with "Hate Rain on Me." I have I'm trying to think. Do I have a themed? In theory. Also, this is part where everyone's here. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
I want to get back into doing themed days, and I was like, as I'm getting back into Knife Man, I'm like, what if I? And then there's also of course, the Mount Goes album, getting into knives. Like, can I do a knife night of all knife songs? Do I have enough knife songs? Or do I just have
Like,
two?
For a second, I wasn't sure you were talking about like a theme for all the music. I thought
Yeah.
you meant a theme for us to
No.
follow.
Just talk about nice.
No, I'm not a knife guy, so I could not talk about knives. But no, I've done a couple nights. I think the last one was like Horse Night, all horse songs.
Nice.
Because I think I was probably thinking about Horses, the album Horses, of course.
How do you?
And I was like,
The only one I got, I think it's the 100 gex one, but
see,
I can't find any. Sorry?
I was saying I don't even have that one. But of course I try to remember what Horse Night was. I mean, you've got Horses, obviously. Judy Dreams of Horses, and I think I know those were the two I had off the top of my head. I could check the aforementioned.
Is Pony by Genuine count?
I don't have. I think so. I don't have that. I had that.
I know it's not about horses, but
No. I think it was like I was playing Fast and Loose to some degree. But I was like, I did get like 6 of them, or 6 or 7 songs that had enough about horses that I was like, enough to justify a horse night. And trying to, I will look at that later. But in the meantime, everyone's here. Everyone's here thinking about video games. Of course, we're all talking like we're all ready to game. We're all just gaming nonstop. Of course. So I got to ask my go-to. One of my favorite group conversation questions is, what's everyone's relationship to Mario? You know, the funny little guy in the red hat.
That's such a broad question, too.
King Luigi.
Does anyone have starts to place with about Mario?
I mean, it could be that you don't have any relationship with Mario, and that could be your relationship to Mario.
I do. It's hard to not have a relationship with Mario today. I mean, it's such a big thing.
Right, just the ubiquity of him.
When I was a kid, one of the first I think the very first video game I ever played was Mario Kart Double Dash on the GameCube. Like I was over at the place of a friend of my parents for lunch or something.
Yeah.
And I played with their son, and I was very bad at the game. Obviously, I mean, I think I was 4, so I mean, I couldn't play.
Yeah.
And he was getting so mad at me, and that's the first video game memory I have.
That was definitely the first video game I also played. Was also Mario for the GameCube. That was definitely my generational Mario, of course. Nothing before that. Wouldn't it be like a Super Nintendo? That'd be for old people or something. Which, no, with it, with the kid, with it touched, included, and locked in. You know, I've got all.
What's the first Mario games that the other ones played? I'm curious.
It was NES Mario.
Like Lauren, what did you play? What was your first Mario game?
Oh, my first introduction to Mario was probably Mario Party, which I didn't have, but it was like someone my dad worked with. I went over there and his children were playing it, and they were like, come play this game. And I was like, what? Because I was an only child, so I didn't really play party games.
Right.
So it was sort of this new experience of like, what is going on? Like, I'm playing against these people that I don't know. So Mario sort of The first Mario game I had was Super Mario Sunshine. And that was where I got to know Mario more personally.
Have you
Oh,
kept in touch
GameCube
since
again.
then?
With Mario?
Yeah.
Or with the...
With Mario, have you and Mario kept in touch at all, or is it just like
Not
Yeah.
really. I haven't played much Mario since then. That's like the Mario game in my head.
right? And I mean, that's also the fun of it because I feel like for the ubiquity of it all. And speaking with game developers, a lot of them like, I kind of know the guy, but like, not really.
No, I actually have kept up with Mario. Like, I've played recently the Bowser's Fury, which is quite good. And I mean, there are so many Mario games, and they are made by people who know a lot about game design, I guess. And most of them are interesting in a way
Yeah.
or another. And I think it's easy to overlook them because they're such like, I mean, they might seem basic, but I feel like they are the games which make themselves feel basic. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes. No, I
It's
know
not
what you
because
mean.
they
Yeah.
do things that everybody else does. It's just that they just know how to be good and to impose like their rules on other games in a way.
Yeah, like Mario is setting the norms
Yeah,
in
exactly.
some
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm realizing I was just playing a Mario ROM hack before the show started.
That's what I was gonna say. I love like how like people like with the I guess quote unquote like plunderware games, how
Yes.
people have repurposed like Mario assets and turned them into these like sort of abominations that I love very, very, very much. I
Yes.
think
No,
that's really exciting. A big one is I don't know if you guys have played Titanic 2 by
Yes.
Flan.
Mhm.
Oh
It's
no.
excellent. Excellent.
Yeah. Okay, I'm noting that one down.
Yes,
I
I
will.
constantly recommend people play Titanic 2. It is,
I love it.
yeah, it's like it's a good intro to the whole like that whole like plunder they plunder Ludo, plunder core, plunderware, whatever people call it.
Yeah.
It's a good intro to that whole like scene of games.
And I agree with everyone. Like, it's impossible to talk about games without mentioning Mario, like, for so many reasons. But how do you guys feel about WarioWare? I am personally a huge fan,
Oh
and
shit.
Yeah.
the mini games themselves are just so insane and weird and wonderful, and I
I
love
was just
it.
playing WarioWare this morning.
Amazing.
You played it all today. Yeah, WarioWare is great. I mean, it's the game which kind of is okay with being weird in the
Yeah.
franchise.
And it was funny playing it like I was playing it so recently. I was like, oh, like how also like easy a lot of it is to have like the animations are so minimal. Like the little like the
Mhm.
Wario gets like blown up and the cutscene animation is like just a turning sprite. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh right, like even what we think of as like like big companies like there's still like a minimalist like just get it out the door kind of thing that I think needs to get adopted more and just like people need to realize sometimes that like, oh, you don't need to make everything by scratch, you know.
Mm.
The kit bashing and the asset stores are your best friend.
Another thing I love about WarioWare is that it feels like, I mean, I don't know if that's the right word, but collaborative, because all the games, they have their own unique look, and it feels chaotic and like there's like it's not as proper as the other games.
You're right. Right. There's it's just a smashing a weird mix mash of styles where
Yeah.
it could like you very easily can make a very collaborative. I mean that what
Yeah, actually, that reminds me. There's I need to find this.
yeah.
It's something where. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? It's a WarioWare-like game on PC, and everybody can contribute a mini game.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Let me boot up my laptop, and I can find it in my history.
I think
because
I do
it's
know.
I think it's really yeah.
I think
I'd love
I
to
don't know
hear
what
that.
it's called, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, something where I'll find it in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh my goodness.
And it's something you can come back to from time to time too, because there will be some new games. And I mean, I would love to make something for it someday.
Yes,
You
and
should.
there's
You should.
also I was trying to think of the name of the game, the exact name of it, but there's the Paradise collab thing, Magical Paradise Train, which is exactly what that is. It is a bunch of people within the Paradise Discord making a bunch of weird, like micro games. So that is exactly what that is as well, and it's just like you can play it in browser, and it's just like a micro game collection of like I don't know how many games, a lot of games, but it's a cool similar idea.
Okay, I found it. So it's called Loungewear.
Loungewear.
And yeah, it's still going. It's got, I don't know, maybe 50 games at the moment. And you can play it in your browser. And it's made, I think, with Game Maker.
Okay.
So if you know how to use Game Maker, you can contribute a mini game. 54 games at the moment with 62 contributors. And yeah, I really recommend you try it. It's great. And something I like about it is how you can see too that it has its own culture and its own references and private jokes.
Yeah.
And like you've got a sound effect like a cheap yeehaw, which you will find in maybe a dozen of the micro games in it, and some recurring characters which you find too in WarioWare. And it's very fun to see it like grow organically this way.
Yeah, we need more stuff like this. I'm so glad
This
people are
looks
doing it.
awesome.
Yeah. I love collaborative games like that. Oh, that reminds me too of As any of you played Chain.
Chain.
No.
Yes.
How do you call it? It's Exquisite
Yes.
Corpse,
That
right?
is, yes.
Yeah, so it's an Exquisite Corpse horror game, which is, I mean, someone creates a horror game, and then the next person sees what was made just before and creates a new game, and it's like that, a collection of 20 games.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff that happens in the sort of that horror space. In part because and a lot of these things, like the upside to them is that they are non-commercial, and like the non-commerciality of it allows you to make like once you start introduce money to a lot of things, it kind of like muddies up collaboration, because who monitors it, who makes it, how do you split it, all that stuff. And these things can kind of like thrive in the freeware space. Like that's why it's so weird how much like the freeware space does not get like well recognized, broadly.
Yeah, in the commercial space, it's harder to riff off somebody else's idea because then
Yeah.
it's like, hey, don't take my idea. Now I'm
Right.
not going to make any money.
And it's also a lot of people like, if it can feel like not wanting to like, sticking to yourself because any peer can be your enemy, sort of thing. Or at the same time, or similar, your only good peers are the people who can offer value to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like either isolating yourself or self-limiting yourself to people who you think are valuable to you, which itself is like such a limiting factor. And like who you socialize with, and like what the scene looks like. But there's that's where online spaces are very helpful. Where physical spaces, I feel like, are mostly eaten up by companies.
And also, maybe kind of in the same way that the internet has evolved to a point where for many people it's just 5 websites like YouTube and Instagram and
Yes.
and so on. When I was a kid, I would go and play a bunch of browser games, and there were a bunch of free games and the culture around it and communities, and it felt really alive. And today, I was maybe 10 at the time, and today 10-year-old kids, they just meet on Roblox.
Right.
And it's I feel like the ecosystem for those community to foster is not the same.
Yeah, it's also like Roblox itself is like a closed system.
Yeah.
Um, when I growing up, I did play a lot of like StarCraft, and like I spent a lot of time on those like custom maps on that. But that was also like a supplement to Newgrounds. And I think I hear more and more people like talking about like spending a lot of time on itch, and especially as more stuff is just like easily playable in browser.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, no, people are treating something like itch like it is similar, like just a place where it has a bunch of free games that you check out and play. And even if they take they're free, and even if they're short, that's also good because they don't take forever to play.
Better sometimes.
The pleasure of a game that takes as long to download and unpack as it does to play it, which is a compliment, I'd say. Because it's nice to have like quick experiences, and yeah, something I feel like gets lost is people don't think of Flash games as indie games, even though that's what they were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just because like the marketing language wasn't there for them yet.
Yeah, the first games which were marketed as indie, I feel like they have a lot to take from the Flash scene. I mean, even Super Meat Boy, if I'm right, was a Flash game at first.
Right. But
yeah.
And some of that stuff just kind of gets lost conversationally as it's not thought about in the same way as like, I mean, that's also games resetting, like games are bad at modeling their history, and that's like the wider thing of culture getting reset every like 3 years or whatever as people just get burned out.
I feel like in the capital G gamer history, only console and commercial PC games are remembered.
Yeah.
And even today, it's easy to not pay attention to. I mean, I read a fair amount of journalism about video games, and you never hear about mobile video games or Roblox video games, which I mean, there are reasons to ignore them, but we always focus on what is like the proper video game, and the rest is easily forgotten.
Yeah, even though mobile games are like the most widely played games, right?
Exactly, yeah. So I've been trying to be more interested in them. Like from time to time, I will go on the Play Store and download something random, and I mean, so much of it is drifty. That's a fact, and is similar to gambling. But I don't want to just not look at it when it's so important.
Yeah, because it is like because maybe there is stuff.
I couldn't hear you for a second.
I know. I moved away. I moved my head in the wrong. Okay. I was like, oops! I should have moved my head like that. But yeah, like I think just in general, you like being the person that like doesn't, is looking to try different things. Is something that like games just need more of, even though there are like plenty of it. Once again, the theoretical person, the person I think about all the time when I'm speaking, generally from that person's perspective of like when I say, it's hard to find games, or not enough people are like talking about niche stuff. It's like, if you get into those niches, fine, but I think it's hard to find those niches easily, you know, unless you were like really scrolling around on websites or whatever, finding a weirdo with a big table at PAX full of bullshit.
Indiepocalypse.
That's yeah. I'm the guy with a table full of bullshit. But it's like, or you know, there are more people. You know, like Ash K is doing that up in the Greater Ontario area. You know, of like spreading around physical little indie games, which puts it into perspective, puts in like in front of different people. You know. But who knows? I don't know. Indie games. Don't know about them. Don't care about them. Or wait, no. Do care about them. Video games. Forget about them. Done with them. I'm just going to build fucking Gundams all day. And just think
Frankly,
about that.
sometimes I feel like, I mean, I just spend so much time on my computer, and
Right.
sometimes I feel like I just want to just make comic books instead, but I'm
Right.
just so committed to video games now.
I mean, that's the thing. I think it's kind of a joke, but also the thing I think that games lack as a medium is people seem like 100% focused on games as a lifestyle. You know,
Yeah,
when games are enriched by having other interests other than games.
yeah, absolutely. Like most medium. I mean, I think we both need people who are only obsessed with games and people who, I mean, we need various degrees of
Yeah.
interest in games. I remember a few years ago, there was a small team which made a game which won a few awards. I can't remember the name right now, but I remember that the woman who was leading the team said in an interview or something that she didn't know what Tetris was. And I find it so crazy that you could make an award winning video game while not knowing one of the most known ones. And I think it's good that we can have
Yeah.
all sorts of profiles making stuff.
Right. To have like just a wider
Oh,
perspective.
can you hear me? I think I'm offline.
I can hear you. Yes, you're good. I do to speak to the. I very rarely speak to the chat, but they're indulging me.
Long live the people who never leave the tutorial area
Right.
in a game. I love that.
Yeah, or finding games within games that are other games.
Mhm.
And I do mostly master and high graded. If Indiepocalypse needs to make billions of dollars for me to start dropping money on perfect grade stuff, that's like fucking expensive. Those are like hundreds of dollars. And I'm not dropping like $900 whatever on New Gundam, even though it's probably big and cool looking as lights or whatever. But anyhow, as we are rapidly approaching 2 hours. Does anyone have any sort of like non-promotional things that need to questions or statements that they need to get out before we start to fully wrap up?
Sorry, I missed part of it. I went offline for
Oh yes,
for a second.
I was saying as before we get to wrap up, does anyone have anything to say that is non-promotional, but like I had a question, a statement I need to get out, a question I need to ask before we start to wrap up?
Wow. Not like that. I'm kind of taken by surprise.
Well, that's perfect. No, that's a good thing. It's a perfectly fine thing to not have something off the top of your head.
I can get on the make a website soapbox
Yes,
if you want me to.
You do have a good website. I recommend people.
Well, it's like I always see people talking about how much they hate social media
Yes.
and it's bad and they miss how the internet used to be. But
Yeah.
like all those tools are still there.
Yes.
You can, teens in the 90s could make websites and so could you. Or so
Yeah.
can you now using the same tools. You can just you know,
Go on
write some
Neocities.
text and upload it.
Yeah.
Put it on Neocities for free and have a website. And there's anyway, I think it's fun.
It is.
If you're into making games, making websites is similar. It scratches the same itch for me.
Yeah, and there's
I would love it if we could have like a network of websites again.
no, there are.
And, yeah.
There are indeed.
They're there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep
Of course.
Let's keep building that network.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
I think it's like the thing is like once you just like log off of social media, you're like, oh, actually, there's actually tons of people who are just like fully living their lives and like doing it. You know, there's, you know, I think within the latest release, there's I think at least one, maybe two people that have not only no Blue Sky, but I think like zero social media profile. At least two. Yeah, two people of the last 10 have like no Blue Sky, and I think no social media handles at all. They're just like online, technically, I suppose.
Amazing, living the dream.
Yeah, I mean, and that's also like I think the problem in, you know, relying on too much on like social media as being the avenue to find stuff is like you miss so much stuff that just is never going to get on there.
Yeah.
But yes, build a website, folks. It's
Build a website. Make a page that links to all your favorite things, whether that be games or like your favorite thing on the Internet Archive or
yeah.
Or make
You
a
know.
weird one I think you do one every month, right? You do for Weird Web October. Is that what you're doing right now?
Oh, I'm doing a like daily challenge
Oh.
thing right now and trying to make a
Oh.
web page every day.
That's so sweet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at this later. I mean, I saw your website very briefly today, and it looked like I had more to find.
Yes.
It's getting kind of large.
Yeah.
Any effort that I would have in the past been like, oh, let me make a post about this. It's like, no, let me make a web page that looks however
yeah.
I like it to look, and it doesn't have to, you know,
It's
it can just
just,
stay there. It doesn't have to exist in like a stream of things that will then disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just. There's like social media posts are like so impermanent. They're like the most impermanent thing you can make. Like they have a lifespan of a couple seconds usually. I feel, unless it has to get like really big for it to have any kind of lifespan at all. But just your own website, that stuff is just there. Like you hit so hard on I don't remember the exact quote, but there was a post from UbuWeb. If people are familiar with UbuWeb,
I love UbuWeb.
Yeah, they made a post at some point that is pretty much what you said, which is you know, all of the ways of making the internet that we knew of still exist. We've just been convinced that they don't.
Yeah, well, it's the Squarespace ads, I think.
Right.
They're like, oh my god, it's so complicated. Don't you want to use Squarespace?
Right. It's like, no, I'm fine.
But it's like, no, it costs like $20 a month or something.
Right.
Ridiculous.
And I think it should be fine to have an ugly website too. Like I love ugly websites, but today everything has to be more, you know.
Oh, I was looking at
professional.
who was the wrestling game guy that you were
Dickey.
talking about earlier? I was looking at his website and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's refreshing.
20 years to work on it. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's just simple. It's like a grid of all the games.
Yeah.
And then like a little sidebar and some like t-shirts that I don't think I would wear, but I'm glad that they're there.
Yeah. It's like,
You know.
there you could it's easy, I think, to live outside of the ecosystem, you know. And
Yeah, like, is this guy posting? I don't
know.
He is, but
He has a too. He has I think on YouTube. I think.
okay. So he's kind of posting, but he doesn't have to, because I can just go to his website.
Yeah. And you can live the life of, as many people do, as increasingly I see Indiepocalypse contributors live the lifestyle of having their own stuff and having, I don't know, technically a Blue Sky handle with 60 followers and 13 posts or whatever, which is a life to live, you know. Like if you're posting more than once a day on average, fucking log off.
You're too far gone.
I do love. Does on Blue Sky there's a like custom feed called Quiet Posters,
Ooh.
where it just shows you the people that don't post every day.
Is there? I was just thinking today that I needed that.
It actually seems like an ideal feed because, like, no,
it's really good.
Yeah, like, I want a feed of normal people. Where can I get people whose brains aren't rotted all the way through?
Yeah, not someone posting 20 times a day about an intricate drama you don't understand.
Yes. I post conventions, I always get the feeling to like, oh, I should be online a little bit more because I should not disappear basically between events or find a way to interact with people in a way that is not like seeing them once a year. But then I see online and go, oh, I see how like this can rot your brain very quickly if you try to like engage with this earnestly, because it's just like, oh, many people who are like too far gone, you know. And it's like, oh, it's just a different way of thinking about things, and it's like I just can't lock my brain into that mode anymore. Especially because I came back to people like the game dev discussion of the moment was like, somebody must have said something about there being too many games or game curation because a bunch of people are talking about that, and I was like, the best way I like, and it's a lot of people, the classic thing, a lot of people posting about things that already exist, you know.
Oh yeah. Why doesn't this exist? Oh yeah. And it's like it's there. Look.
Right. And like, I think my last post before I retreat again, as I want to do, is something to the effect of like, I don't know the framing of it, but something that stuck in my brain was like, choosing not to engage with something is not the same as it not existing. And that's the feeling I've like, of a lot of people like, yeah, the stuff exists, and just because you're not paying attention to it doesn't make it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing threads of like people saying, "Oh, people should do more of this," I'm like, I literally just got back from a weekend of people doing that. Like, people are doing it constantly. It's just like, I guess your friends aren't, or you were just, who knows. Online, it's like I said, you have to just kind of think about it in a different way. But internet sucks. We shouldn't use it. It was a mistake. Or at the very least, social media was. We really messed that one up.
I like using the internet to find games to play.
Yes. I love meeting
people
on the internet.
Games.
I love meeting people on the internet and then talking to them not on the internet. Or on this version of the internet. A nice closed little box where there's only 3 of us.
Yeah. I think that's another good thing, is that you can create your website, and also if you can and there's none already close to you, try and create a local community which meets in person. And
I think we really screwed up when they made us think that Twitter was a replacement for forums.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that makes me so sad to have every forum I've used be slowly replaced by Discord servers, because they're just not the same.
Mm-hmm.
No, likewise. Also, the similar thing of like thinking Discord does not replace forums either.
Yeah.
I post on a couple forums, and I really like the topic-based, like everyone's talking about this thing in this thread, and you can sort of opt in or out, and you can read everything in chronological order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so you have the context instead of like. Sorry, you go.
No. I mean, the benefit of forums is you have you don't have what happened right now is people talking over each other. I mean, you can, but like
exactly, yeah.
There's not like you have the is typing. You don't. It's not you don't have the chat room style of immediacy.
Oh, true. Yeah.
And on Discord servers, you've got so many topics intertwining. and I feel like you just log off for 5 hours and then you don't know what's going on.
Right. Discord server is also not searchable on the internet.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, for private communities, that's good, but
sure.
not
Yeah.
for everything.
No. Like if you're talking of like replacements for forums, which, like, I think of like how do you find a Discord server? You know, like
Yeah, I think it was Ubisoft which recently, I mean, not so recently, but announced that their support forums was being replaced by a Discord server, and that was a big problem for people who are trying to solve issues.
right.
And to answer your questions, I think there's a way to search for servers in Discord, but
terrible.
I've never used it, and I mean, it's just not the same.
No, because you have to, one, know that the Discord exists, and two,
Yeah,
find
and
your
it
way there.
sucks to have a company owning your community too.
Yeah, it's the loss of searchable information, a true curse. But
I mean, with AI today, there's not much to search with all the. I mean,
yeah,
for the lack of a better word, slop is invading
yes,
the,
yeah.
the web.
I am okay. I'm back again. I am running into this problem. I'm going to, folks. We're
I
wrapping
mean,
up the show. We've crossed across 2 hours. We're locking it in. We're closing it up. I'm gonna go around the horn, as it were, and start with, hey, if people are looking for your work, where can they find it?
You can find me on itch.io, and it's Oblivist, OBLIVIIST.itch.io. And yeah, all my stuff is on there, and I'm always happy to help. If you hit a wall while you're making games, please reach out. I'm happy to help always. If you like Godot or Bitsy or whatever.
Yeah, reach out, chat with your people on the internet. Worst case scenario is they do not respond to you.
Yeah, and I do have one small soapbox again on
Yes.
just anyone out there, use version control. Look it up. If you don't know what version control is, look it up, whether you're making a website or you're making a game or anything. It's so important, and yeah, I can't stress that enough.
Perfect. I'm Lucas. Where can we find your stuff, Lucas?
I have a website for my collective, which is pretty much just me nowadays, which is Cyber News Cafe. You can just Cyber Cafe and add News, GNOSE, after the cyber.
Yeah.
And also you can find me on a bunch of common social media, and each if you just type my name in your search bar.
Yes, a handy thing to use your name to be findable in the search bar. And Lauren, we mentioned this website earlier. What's this website if people are looking for it?
This type ribo ribo.zone zone into your address bar, and you will find my brain.
Yes. Oh, hey. You can find a circular reference to this very show currently if you're there right now.
Yes, if you want to know what's new, I have a little newspaper PNG
Yes.
you can click on, and it will tell you what is new.
Yes.
And that will be updated more frequently than anything else.
That is a cool little thing.
I do have a Blue Sky with the same. It uses my domain as the username, but all I'll ever post there are links to my website. So it's sort of redundant. You can go straight to the source.
Yes, exactly. Like, more people just need to be like, my Blue Sky, you know what that is? My fucking website. Go to my website. like when I want to direct people, like, I want them at the website because that's the last place I want people. And clicking on your little newspaper just was making me think of a plug for something else, folks. Check out Very Little News. I'm a big fan of Nikki Flowers' Very Little News. They're little for like $3 or so. a little newspaper gets delivered to your, just delivered in an envelope to you every month on the tiniest little newsprint.
Ooh.
I think if you search very little news, I can't remember exactly what the website is because I just thought about it in the top of my head. But I'm sure if you search for it, you'll find it based on the information I've given you. Figure it out, folks.
It's verylittlenews.org.
There you go.
So fast.
Highly recommend. If you like you want to support independent press, and get little newspapers once a month. But also, speaking of promotion, that also is just promotion of other people's stuff. Indiepocalypse. Hey, you should check it out. I think it's good. You can get it if you just go to indiepocalypse.com. It's my favorite place for you to buy it because the money gets there to me way faster. It was funny in people getting mad at itch, learning all the things that were always bad about itch, and acting like they're new discoveries. People being like, I can't find my game when I search for it. I'm like, yeah, itch's search sucks. I can't. It takes me forever to get paid. I'm like, yeah, itch takes like 3 weeks to pay you no matter what. It's like all this stuff has always sucked. Like there's new stuff they're doing that kind of sucks sometimes, but also, just like it's when you need to log out. Like people are just blowing things out of proportion very quickly, you know. But yeah. But my own website is my suggestion. The best place to buy stuff. The best place to buy also if you want to buy games physically. That's the best place to do it because I actually get decent announcements for it, rather than like somehow like trying to parse whether this purchase, like looking at purchases, checking their dollar amount, and then checking if it's a tip or if it's someone buying a tape. My website just shows me when people buy physical stuff. It gives me a little notification that I need to send them something. But if you like to contribute, of course, indiepocalypse.com/submit. Submissions are always open eternally. And this extended month period for the 70th issue, because it's the second pledge drive of the year, because I do every 10, and occasionally that means there'll be 2 in a year. So for the 7th issue, I'm trying to break even through the Indiepocalypse subscription Patreon thing, which is also an absurdly unachievable goal, much like any Indiepocalypse pledge drive break-even goal is. But if you're like, hey, I want to get some indie games, I want to subscribe to a thing and get games once a month and not have to think about it, hey, it's just indiepocalypse.com/Patreon. It'll get you there. Whether you get the full issue, you can get tapes mailed to you, or if you just want to, for the low $5 a month, you can just get newly commissioned games every month. Like this month is Demos Hotel, who is someone I was reaching out to them frequently, and then I could not find a good line of communication to them, and then they submitted their game. One of their games was like, perfect. Now I have your email. I was like, I want you to make a game. So check that out. That's only $5 a month. That was a long road to say that's only $5 a month, which is frankly a bargain. It's like frankly too little money. But that all said, hey, folks, thanks for being here. Lauren, Lucas, Ames, thanks for joining me here today. And thanks everyone out there.
Thank you
For listening. I'm going to end the show now. As soon as I find my thing that I end the show with, I found it.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.